With us to talk more about this is former Maryland Congresswoman Donna Edwards, who is an MSNBC political analyst. Donna, it's always great seeing you. So what do you make of the president's determination today? He was very clear on Morning Joe, and that letter that he sent to Democrats on Capitol Hill is almost even more clear.
Well, look, I think the president has been absolutely clear about his desire, willingness, and intention to stay in this race. And I think it opens the question for some Democrats who are calling for him to leave, whether they're doing more harm right now than good. The president is in the race. He said he's in the race. His vice president is in there on the team with him. And short of challenging him at the convention and trying to kick him out, there's really not a lot that Democrats can do about this right now. And so I think they need to be questioning themselves about whether they're playing into the hands of Donald Trump and the Republican Party in continuing this fight.
That is so critical, what you just mentioned, Donna. I just want to, if I could, read to you more from the president's letter today. He says, I feel a deep obligation to the faith and the trust the voters of the Democratic Party have placed in me to run this year. The president's determination to stay in the race is, I think, so clear. In a letter to after this, Congressman Richie Torres had a really important statement aimed at his colleagues, saying in part, quote, weakening a weakened nominee seems like a losing strategy in a presidential election. The piling on is not so much solving a problem as much as it is creating and compounding one. Just how big of a problem does the president have? And is it not time for people to just say, the reality is that this president was elected by an overwhelming majority of Democratic voters, the people who matter in November. Let's continue on that.
Well, let's look at where we are. I mean, I just saw the recent Bloomberg poll that was released on Saturday in swing states. The president has closed the gap, actually, among independents, closed the gap in those swing states within 2 points. This is a president who is going to be strong going in up against Donald Trump. And I really do think that the onus is on those Democrats right now to really stop this. I think it's very damaging. We heard statements, for example, coming from Greg Meeks just a few minutes ago here on your program, but also Joyce Beatty of Ohio, former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, on Morning Joe this morning, saying that the Congressional Black Caucus is squarely behind this president. And, you know, you don't win an election as a Democrat if you don't have, you know, strong support among the CBC, among Black voters. So I really do feel like we're at a stage now where this could be much more harmful, and that it's important for Democrats to unify. Democrats have been unified for 7.5 years against Donald Trump and this agenda. It's time for us to put this aside and to go into the convention as a unified party.
Donna Edwards, I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.